All right, guys, we are gonna be starting today's podcast, the pre-alpha music. Thank you so much for just being part of this journey. I really appreciate those folks that are continuing and watch the pre-alpha, not pre-alpha, P masculinity. I forgot right now. I have so many channels that are just crazy. We're gonna react today. Andrew Wilson versus Kayse Melone. I think her name is. She's basically like a typical atheist feminist, and here they want to debate whether or not Christian nationalism is bad for America. Okay, we already know some of these back and forth kind of ideas. You guys know that we are. I am a Christian nationalist myself. I think the United States needs to be center focused when it comes down to religion, and just go with Christian nationalism. We're not with how can I say this? With no further ado, let's just go here and start the debate. The only thing I'm gonna just ask you guys to make sure you guys like, subscribe to my channel, be part of the Discord. I'm gonna leave the link in the chat, and that way you guys can become a member, and you guys can discuss anything that you guys have in mind, any recommendations as well. You guys can put that on the chat on the Discord. Let's jump in.
Authority, like the secular leftists did with mask mandates.
Let's go.
That opening statement. And folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. We are a fully neutral debate platform. And if you didn't know, as you can see at the bottom right of your screen, DebateCon, our two-day debate conference in Nashville, is happening it's just roughly 3 weeks. Folks, get your tickets at the link in the description box. As you can see at the bottom right of your screen, $239.99 for the starting. And now this is something really special for tonight. We're actually doing a promotion. So just for 72 hours, if you use this code that you see at the bottom right of your screen, namely 25LIVE, you'll get 25% off your ticket. This is only for 72 hours, and we're trying to keep this private just for Andrew's viewers and Modern Day Debate viewers. Get your tickets now using this promo code. With that, we're going to kick it over to Andrew for his opening. Thanks for being with us. Andrew, the floor is all yours.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. My opponent tonight has an interesting strategy, though it's altogether predictable. Her premise, not unlike many other progressive harm reductionists, is that Christian nationalism or Christian populism leads to fascism or forms of fascism. Interestingly enough, when somebody says fascism, which is now a loaded word, it brings to mind ideas of things which are very dystopian, doesn't it? Brings to mind the idea of oppression by the state, for instance. Things like checkpoint IDs by the state and show us your papers, like what the left pushed during the lockdowns with the COVID passports and COVID travel papers. Even COVID work permits with the suggestion of not being able to travel without your papers being cleared by the almighty state. It brings images of forced garment wearing by the state in order to single out people who might push against state authority, like the secular leftists did with mask mandates. Gives the idea of the state shutting down your business or place of worship whenever they want, like the leftists did in their leftist states during COVID-19. It brings into your head the idea of people having food shortages and processing issues and restrictive medical care, like what the left demanded be imposed during COVID-19. Which is why it's interesting to me, leftists never want to talk about what a fascist state looks like, because it brings up memories of what these fucking lunatics did to us during COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Eerily similar, isn't it? Instead, they focus on total degeneracy restriction as being their pathway to have you believe fascism is right around the corner and the evil Christians are going to deliver it. In fact, this ideology of my opponent is so weak and Christian nationalism so easy to defend, all I have to do is use two words, us too. She says, we want the authority to decide the curriculum of what children read in public schools. Great, us too. She wants control over who gets married and who doesn't. Oh, us too. She wants to decide what the future looks like through legislation of laws which affect everybody. Us too.
Yeah.
She wants to determine what behaviors are state protected and which are hateful. Oh, us too. She wants to reduce harm based around a particular worldview. Us too. She wants to have legislation around abortion using the state. Oh, fancy that. Us too. She thinks only her side can rule morally and set an agenda which benefits everyone. Hey, us too. She thinks her ethical system is superior and wants to impose it via legislative bodies. Hey, guess what? We want to do that too. Everything she wants authority for, to legislate for, in her worldview demands one thing: power.
It's
We
all
also
about power.
demand to have power and legislate for our agenda. And that's it. It's really simple, isn't it? We can also use two other words to describe this phenomenon from leftist, lunatic, fascist baiters. The two words are, oh no. You want to legislate there are only two genders. Oh no. You don't want males playing in female sports. Oh no. You don't want to stop mass migration. Oh no. You want to ban abortion except in life-saving scenarios? Oh my God. Oh no. You want to ban porn? Oh no. You will ban 18-year-old girls from sticking objects up their assholes online for money? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Will you stop these pervy old men from fapping to these girls in their basement by banning the source? Oh no. Oh no. While my opponent attempts to vilify my worldview with these things, just note, these are their actual complaints. Not the dystopian things you would think they would try to push, but rather just righting the wrongs of current secular leftist policies. Yes, secular leftist policies. Yes, I'm sorry, under Christian nationalism, the days of mass degeneracy pushed by leftists will unfortunately be over. My God, those insane fascists. How will we ever get by without mothers across the USA having to beg their daughters to not get gangbanged by five guys online for money? I'm totally sure everyone's going to miss that. And that's all this ever is. It's freedom to do the most degenerate shit possible. They don't actually care about the, quote, dystopia because they never talk about it. Because there isn't one. And when there was, it was them imposing it. That's what's so funny. They only care about the right of a man to eat another man's ass and get monkeypox on their face because that's America and that's freedom. Well, I'm very sorry, but the adults are here now, and unfortunately, the party is over. I'm very sorry we have to ruin your fun time destroying everything we love and being a bunch of fucking scumbags, but we're going to have to, and there really isn't anything you can do about it ultimately because people don't want to live like this anymore. Christian nationalism is the proposition that Christians maintain moral majorities and dominance in culture. Because of that, your super fun degen time is unfortunately over. We have every bit as much right to rule from our worldview as you do yours, and there's nothing you can do about it anyway. You demanded a democracy, and that's what this looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Social movements where Christians are in dominant political and social power structures. I agree with her to the definition. She's worried about Western income inequality. Interestingly enough, she says we need to address millionaires and billionaires. Where was she addressing the billionaire NGOs who just funded the No King's Day riots on the first round? Where was she when they funded the No King's Day protest most recently? Hundreds of NGOs backed by millionaires and billionaires. I got all of their names here. There's hundreds of them. Did she say a word about it? Probably not, because, well, that's justice. As long as the millionaires and billionaires are doing what they want, they don't give a shit. She says, well, there's thousands of flavors of Christianity. So what? There's thousands of flavors of secularism, too. She doesn't care if our morality is divine. Great. It is. Fear-based. She says, we have a fear-based perspective. What is she doing here? She's telling all of you to be afraid because the Christian nationalists, evil Christian nationalists aren't going to let you be communists. That's it. They're not. I believe when she says equity, social justice for all she's saying is that she's a tanky commie, probably, or something akin to a tanky commie, right? That's what they all are. It's irrational, she says, because of corporate greed. We just addressed that with millionaires and billionaires. The social movement that she wants is economic justice for everyone. What does that even mean? We never know. They're very vague about it. They live in the ambiguity of language. Equal access to housing, food, and healthcare. Well, what's the plan for that? She doesn't know. Right? They never know. They want to have the conversation about it. What conversation do you want to have about it? Can you give me a PowerPoint plan for how you're going to give equal access to housing, food, and healthcare to people? No. You just ignore how the world operates. Unfortunately, the adults are now in the room, and you're going to have to deal with it. And the idea of the social degenerate paradise that all of you dumbass leftists always are advocating for is now coming to a close. And that's my opening statement. I appreciate both of your time showing up to this debate.
Thanks for being here as well and for that opening. Folks,
I think we missed her opening, but whenever you guys have time, just go and
Well,
watch the
quick
radio.
housekeeping things before we jump into the open dialogue. First, we have a new Facebook page. Check the Modern Day Debate Clips Facebook page out. That's pinned to the top.
Nah, I mean, Facebook is for boomers. For boomers. That's what
of
it
the
is, man.
chat, and it's linked in the description box. And not only that, but very excited. If you are like, bro, I would love to go to DebateCon. I just want a piece of the action, but I'm in Australia, Antarctica, wherever it is. Check out the Indiegogo crowdfund. You can get a signed photo of your favorite debater. With that, we're going to swing into the open dialogue. Thanks very much. The floor is all yours, Kayse and Andrew.
Yeah. So I'm happy for you to go first with your cross-examination, as I'm supposed to be defending Christian nationalism here, and then I can go with a cross-examination a little later in the debate if you would prefer, to be the most charitable I can possibly be.
Hey,
Yeah,
Andrew's
clearly
confident.
that was incredibly charitable. That was fascinating. Thank you for that. That was a lot. It's interesting, like half the
Okay,
things
well then,
you
you know
claimed I
what?
said.
Hang on, I'm sorry. Then fuck you. I won't be charitable. Just get into the debate.
I was just playing. It's okay.
That's an egg right there. That's she was gaslighting him, and he jumped in and said, "You know what? All the gloves are off. I'm gonna just keep framing here. I'm gonna just shut her down." He was not expecting
Just
that.
playing
You were
too.
calling
Hey,
yourself
I'm just
an adult and I'm an
too.
infant. That's
I'm just-
fine.
And if you're going to act like one, I'll treat you like one. If you want to have an adult debate and you want to do a cross-examination, I'm here to do it. I didn't interrupt your opening
I think
statement.
it's interesting because there are a lot of things that you claimed that I said, which I didn't say at all. I didn't use the word
Never
fascism.
claimed you said any of these things.
Yeah, you
used
said I
fascism
used
in
the
your
word
most
fascism.
Would you
I
like
did
the video where you just most recently said?
Well, but it wasn't in my
the
opening
link-
statement.
So it doesn't need to be in your opening statement for me to know your worldview inside and out. You recently released a video where you claimed that Christian nationalism leads to fascism. True or false?
I think that
True or
Christian
false?
nationalism
True or false?
leads
Start with that.
to the lack of awareness about economic inequality in this country, which does result in a fascist authoritarian personality.
So it leads to fascism?
Did I just say that? Yeah,
Yes.
I think it leads to fascism,
Yes.
but it's not because
So
I
then
think
what did I
that
get wrong?
Christian ethics lead to fascism. I
Then what
think
did I-
that when we use Christian nationalism as
Yeah.
a social movement to distract everyone and claim all this moral panic and this moral outrage, I didn't bring up half the things that you talked about, and I hardly ever
I
touch
don't
on a
need
lot of
to-
those topics.
Do you realize that my job here is to defend my worldview? It doesn't matter to me that you don't bring up those arguments. What matters to me is how I defend my worldview. I'm explaining and
Against
expressing
what? An offense?
that your worldview,
Against an offense,
that your
which
world-
would be me
your worldview led to
presenting
all of these
something?
things. Your worldview led to all of these things. Your specific harm reductionist worldview. You want me to prove it? I'll prove it right now.
That's okay.
Let's start with this. Abortion. Are you pro or against abortion?
I'm not going to do
Pro-abortion, right?
tit for tat like that. I think that
You're
the
not
question
gonna-
was,
you're
is
not gonna
Christian
tell us?
nationalism bad for America? The
Uh-huh.
answer is yes, because I
Why?
don't think it's going to lead to any kind of utopia. You're talking about utopia too. I've heard you
No, I'm
talk
not.
about on other platforms, that the end of this 300 long end game is to have everyone believe the same thing in Christendom XYZ.
So?
And I think that that's not living in reality. The idea that everyone's going
Sorry
to believe
about
the
your
same
feelings.
thing is not even realistic or rational in the first place. I'm over here trying to communicate that there might be a system in which everyone can believe different things, but focusing on the fact that we can still all have an equal distribution of resources. I don't care
Okay.
what people believe behind the scenes.
Okay, you know
of
what?
that.
That's totally fair. So let's start with this. In your future that you're advocating for, can 18-year-old girls stick things up their ass on OnlyFans for money?
That's a fascinating jump.
Can you
That is
ask-
a fascinating
can
jump.
you answer my
You know
question?
what? I actually know
Can
that
you answer
you
my
care.
question?
I'm getting there. I
never gonna
actually
answer
know
the
that
question. You're
you
just gonna
have a
filibuster.
very I know that you have a very serious problem with mass pornography and the exploitation that comes with it, and I actually do too.
Just waiting
But
for the
I
answer.
don't think that the
Yes or no would be
problem of
fine.
mass. I'm getting there. I thought this was us talking about our
If
ideas.
you could just, it would be great if
So
you would just actually
the-
answer the questions like I'll do for you.
that there is such a high religiosity in this country, as evidenced by.
Are
so
you
many
going to
examples
outlaw
of-
18-year-old girls sticking things on their ass on camera or not, lady?
Honey,
Answer the fucking
understand.
question.
It's
Can you
okay
answer
to
the
get
question?
emotional.
Oh my
Man,
God.
the
It's okay to
gaslighting
get
is
emotional.
insane.
debate.
It's totally
Whole
okay.
debate's going to just be you filibustering,
Feel your
isn't it?
feelings.
Answer
Calm
the
down.
question.
It's okay to get
Answer
emotional.
the question.
She's gaslighting, man.
The mass
Answer
production of
the
pornography. What was
question.
Hold on. All right,
Lord
just
God.
Is
let's
it
hold on
in
one
your
sec.
future, are you going to outlaw 18-year-old girls sticking shit up their ass online so that men can fap to it for money or not?
Okay, Andrew.
Answer the question.
Shout out to
This
Andrew,
is
man.
such
Answer
a redirection
the
of what I've been
question.
trying to talk about.
Answer the question.
The problem with the mass
Answer
pornography
the-
industry is
Yo,
not
she was gonna
about whether
gaslight, bro. She's gonna gaslight this conversation. And you know what's crazy? I never really figured this out years ago. I figured out like only a couple months. The power of gaslighting. The power of gaslighting is basically it's like a smoke screen to not hold your positions accountable. And it's a way of people like her use it just not to answer a question or lie to you or just set up a very bad tone for a conversation.
or not 18-year-old girls are putting whatever
She doesn't want to say it because if she say she understands that this is wrong. That not putting some security of guys just peeling their pickle in front of a camera with girls, putting stuff in their, in their hole. It's very bad. But she doesn't want to do it because then she'll be anti-feminist. You see how that works? It's like she is in a situation that she has to defend two sides out of her own mouth, which is going to be very difficult to defend.
content they want online.
Are
But
you
what the
going to ban
problem
it or
is
not?
The capitalist nature
Are
and
you
the
going to ban
exploitative
it or not?
industry.
Oh my God. Are you going to ban it
What's your
or
problem
not?
with it?
I
No.
want you. No, thank you. My God, you said the word no. Oh my God, I can't believe you were able to do that.
Hey,
yes,
I
that's
recognize
the
your
future. Thank
feelings
you.
and I validate them.
Thank you. The thing
Does
is,
that
you
feel
should
better?
validate them.
Do you
I'm
feel
glad.
better?
You should just said no
That's
and
great.
spared us all your stupidity. No.
Damn.
So the thing
Wow.
is like, oh, I'm going to tell me why I'm wrong.
Wrong about what? You didn't make a statement.
If I'm the unilateral president and have all authority in the United States, I'm going to ban 18-year-old girls from stuffing shit up their ass so that old men can fap to it. Why am I wrong?
Why are you wrong for
Yeah.
banning it?
Yeah.
I think that you're misdirecting the entire conversation toward a random offshoot argument about something that has nothing to do with the
Can you
core
answer
root
my
of
question?
whether.
It does go to the core
I
root.
am
It's
answering
talking
it.
about our
It's
ethical
not.
systems.
Okay, the ethical systems of individual liberty. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yes, so I'm saying to you, so
it's not
my
gonna be-
ethical system, I follow
There's no
Christian ethics.
I
I
have
believe
no
rights are
concept-
social. I
Okay.
believe rights are complete social constructs, totally socially constructed. So if this is the case and morality is subjective, I have as much right to rule from my worldview as you do from yours. If that's the case, all we can do is look at prescriptions for the future. If it's the case that the effects of the prescriptions that I want are better for society than yours, you should actually adopt my worldview. So tell me why I'm wrong for stopping 18-year-olds legislatively from sticking stuff up their asshole online for money. Why is that wrong for me to do?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, Andrew is so good in what he does, man. No wonder he's getting paid for his skills. I don't know why, but there was a moment where Christians were very weak to just admit the truth that we want to simply govern based on how we feel, how we see the world, based on our belief system, and we did it for thousands of years, and we did it for hundreds of years here in this country, even in the Western world, in all Europe. But all of a sudden, we backtrack and we say, you know what? We're not going to govern anymore. And it's very interesting how he brings this argument where you're putting the atheists in a position of the same way you want to put your ideologies, you want to just take power to just pass law, to just enforce what you believe in. Christians, this is what Wilkson is bringing to the table. He's saying Christians have the same right to fight and govern the same way. And that's very, very, very clear. When you hear that argument, a lot of things start changing based on your belief system. And that's for me, of course. I don't know some of you guys, but for me, that's the case.
Those are two completely separate conversations.
No,
You're
they're not.
talking. Can you take deep breaths? I know you're getting emotional.
That's gaslighting
But
again.
you're
You look like
talking
the one
about
who's just
whether or
lost.
not
You don't even know what I'm saying.
You're talking about whether or not it is ethically wrong for someone to post content of whatever they want online. In the same breath, you're talking about two different ethical frameworks coming into play, and you're talking about
You
these
don't
as
have
if
an ethical framework.
the ethical framework is shared human values, which we can all collectively agree upon together. Your ethical framework.
So if
is
we
yours alone.
collectively agree that we can
Congratulations.
molest children, is that good?
We won't.
Is it good if we did?
That's insane.
Is it
No.
good if we did?
No,
okay.
because
But
if
it's
you're
a
talking
then your
about-
shared ethical framework now makes no sense. I thought you just said as long as there's a collective of shared social frameworks,
You're
we come
totally
up with
trying
the ethical
to do
system.
this whole moral panic thing, and you're doing the slippery slope where it's like,
There's not
if we have,
is
do
that
you-
a slippery
okay,
slope or a direct
with
question?
with your wonderful, perfect, amazing Christian ethics,
Mhm.
does that mean that any
Yeah.
premarital sex, like,
Mhm.
actually, can I just say something? First of all, I think
You've
it
been
is
saying a lot.
totally fascinating how absolutely obsessed with sexuality you are. Like that's
Are you gonna you're gonna
Sign language.
psychoanalyze me?
I barely
Are you gonna
mentioned sexuality. I
psychoanalyze me,
talked
Freud?
about economic instability.
Are
I
you gonna
talked about people
psychoanalyze
not
me,
getting
Freud?
the food and the shelter and the clothing
Yeah.
that they need.
That's
and you're
nice.
like, but what about OnlyFans?
That's
That's a
nice.
crazy take.
No,
that
it's
has
not.
Nothing
It's
to
a
do with what I was
it's a
talking
comparable.
about.
What we're doing is we're trying to compare the effects of future ethical systems. So the future ethical system that I have, where I ban all this
But it
degenerate
has nothing
shit.
to do.
It does, because I think your only complaint with my system is that I'm not going to let the gays eat each other's asses anymore. I think that that's literally your entire problem. Is I don't want people to stick the pee
No,
in
my
the
entire
poo-poo.
problem is that is your focus, and I don't think it matters as much as everyone getting enough food.
Oh well, that's great. I'm glad they.
It's so
Who's starving?
fascinating
Who's
that a
starving
lot-
in the fattest country in the world, lady? Who?
It's so fascinating.
Who's starving in the fattest country in the world? Who?
I'm sorry, what?
This is the fattest country ever. Who's starving here? In fact, if you could tell me one person who's starving right now
Okay,
here in the
for
United
health and
States,
wellness.
I'll go get him a food. I'll get him. I'll reach down a meal right now, right this
That
second.
would be
line.
great, Andrew. I think
tell
that
me
at
one.
the end of the day, the economic inequality in this country is incredibly greater than a lot of other westernized nations. That's totally verifiable. You can do a quick
That's not what
Google
you just
check.
said. You just said that
It's-
people
it
don't
is
have
what I
access to
said.
food, and they
Economic
do have access
inequality-
to food.
They do not. Snap
Yes,
just
they
got,
do.
Snap
Yes,
just
they
got
do.
totally defunded or whatever you want to
Oh
call
my
it.
God, you're not going to be able to go buy fucking gallons of cherry Coke and down it by the mass anymore with your SNAP food benefits. Oh my God. Oh no. Oh no.
How calloused are you to the
That's
Your
not
sign
callous.
language, bro. That's typical sign language. Shame, insult, guilt, they need to be right there. How callous are you? I mean, just tackle the argument.
to the people who
That's not
are
callous.
struggling in this job market, in this housing market? I get it. I get that this is your stick.
Is that
I-
it's just moral? It's just moral outrage from you the entire time. How callous are you, Andrew? Where's your empathy, Andrew?
I have moral outrage.
Yeah, tell
That's
me
your
where it
enti-
is. Tell me
That's
where
your
it is.
entire basis for
Can
your
you tell
platform.
me? Can you tell me where it is? No, the entire basis for
it
your
is.
platform is moral panicking and saying that people aren't getting enough food. They are getting enough food. We're fatter than we've ever been. What are you talking about? On top of that, I would like for you to tell us if
Look,
you
you
have
and
a
I-
proposition that's going to be more morally comparable going into the future than what I propose with Christian nationalism, and just told you all of the things that I'm going to ban. If you have a society that looks better than that one, tell me what it looks like. Go ahead.
A better society than the one we have now, which is essentially Christian nationalist. Congratulations on that.
How?
front.
How is it Christian nationalist now?
Because they have the social and cultural dominance leading to that sort of governance.
Then how come porn
Congratulations.
isn't banned? Is that because that's
That's
Christian
a
what
great
Christian
question.
nationalists want?
There's been extensive studies about the nature of a repressive society that bases everything on exploitation of, guess what? Capitalistic systems in order to push out as much porn as possible, because they don't care about who's being exploited and about what 18-year-old girls are online or about whether or not kids can see the
Neither
porn.
do you. You just
They
said you
didn't care
wouldn't
about
ban
any
it.
of that.
You just said you
They
wouldn't
didn't-
ban
they
it.
don't
You don't
care-
care either.
I'm working in
You don't
your
care
ethical
either.
framework right now. I'm working in your ethical framework, if you can kind
Okay.
of keep up with that.
Okay, I'm
So,
trying.
according to your ethical
Truly, your
framework,
intellect is
all of
dizzying.
these things are totally, unacceptable. And I can agree
Uh-huh.
with some of those points, right?
Yeah.
But the reason that we have such a huge industry of porn in this
Uh-huh.
country is not because of secularism. It is because the system of capitalism, with no checks on the corporations that push out all of this porn, is able to just go unchecked. That's what it is. It's capitalism once again.
So it's not
you're
because a
trying
bunch
to
of
moralizing-
leftists. So it's not because
You're
a bunch
trying
of
to moralize
Yeah,
something that is
so
an
hang on.
economic system.
I just let you talk. I didn't interrupt. So let me ask you this, because this is really weird. I could have sworn that it was a bunch of leftists who were demanding that porn be unbanned under Larry Flint and the entirety of the case around him, and that it was part of women's sexual liberation and secular leftists who were pushing that women's bodies were allowed to now be freed if they wanted to show them to everybody for the exchange of money. That was their business. I didn't know that had anything to do with Christian nationalism. Where was Christian nationalism saying that pornography was okay, that the exploitation of women was okay, that young girls would be allowed to undress on camera to lecherous old men? Can you show me any Christian nationalist movement which has ever made such a proposition, or one that does right now? Anywhere, ever?
First of all, I didn't blame Christian nationalism. Second of all, I am okay with the concept of people posting whatever they want online as long as there is not an exploitative system behind it and there are checks to protect children, to protect workers, all of it. Okay. The concept of people doing whatever they want is great. But now you're getting into the concept of what the point of governance is in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think it's great, though. I don't think that the concept.
That's fine. So don't consume it.
Can people walk around naked?
What?
Yeah, they can do whatever they want.
That's what I'm asking you, like, sincerely, just for a basis of
people can't walk around
definition
naked.
Is the point of governance. Like, what do you think the point of governance is?
The point of government or governance is to have an imposition of the ethical framework and system of the people's demands, generally, at least under a democracy.
Okay, I can kind of agree with that, like an administration of the collective will.
Under a democracy, yes.
Under
other forms of government, right. That's not the case.
Totally fair. Okay, so your question was, what, can people walk around naked? Well, yeah, the collective will says no.
Okay, but in your framework,
areas, I am totally okay with, like, closed off 18+ nude beaches, whatever.
Yeah, great, great. Like, that's fantastic. But here's the thing, right? If the collective will changes, right? Because secular leftists
as it does?
It's because secular leftists say, you know what? There's not actually anything wrong with adult men and women walking around naked in the street, right? This is like some archaic Christian nonsense, right? So we want to change that so that people can walk around naked. In that case, if that were the case, let's say in 20 years, 30 years, something like this, I can show you states where it's the case now. Would that be something you would be in support of under your system?
First of all, the Christian ethical framework also.
Well, why she cannot simply say yes or no and then just give a reason why she's not in favor or against it? Why this is so hard? I just simply don't understand. If you're against something or you don't agree with something, just say yes or no, and then, or say this is a heavy question or a loaded question. Let me explain why it's a loaded question. But instead of just, it's like, I don't know. This has to do with the education system that we have in the United States. I believe that sometimes our system is just building and creating just pathological liars. I'm not saying her, because I used to do the same thing. I used to just avoid questions, and because I was afraid of just, I was afraid of being held accountable. Just simply answer yes or no, and then just give your reason. But then it's a yes or no question, and then you go to send something else. It's just wasting people's time, in my opinion. That is.
Yes. So I think you're proving the evolution.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
The Orthodox Church hasn't changed in 2,000 years.
My baby. The expression of Christian ethics 100% has shifted over time.
Yeah, because a bunch of lunatic leftists have been infiltrating the churches for the last 40 years, saying things like, "Oh, LGBTQ is fine. Put rainbow flags up and shit like that."
Yeah. Sounds like maybe there's not a universal truth.
Not because Christians so you just said that you didn't mind in your opening statement if I think that all laws are divine and that Christian ethics are divine. You had no problem with it. Now you have a problem with the universal truth. Is it a universal truth?
With it.
Is it a universal truth that men can be women?
I don't have a moral problem.
Is that a universal truth?
I can still think it's completely irrational.
Yeah, is it a universal truth that men can be women?
Oh, I was wondering when you would get to that. What are we? Is
that a universal truth?
What's the question?
Can men be women?
I think people can be whatever they want. Now, the real question you're asking, and I will answer it
this way. They can be whatever they want.
Is
this is what you're offering. All you're literally offering is degeneracy. That's it.
Yeah, I know. I love you can call whatever you don't like degeneracy. I know that's your thing. But what I'm talking about is I'm not advocating for the importance of people's consenting adults' sexual actions in the privacy of their own homes to matter when it comes to whether or not, again, Christian nationalism is bad for the country, not because I think Christianity or I think everyday Christians are at fault for everything wrong in the world, but it is the movement as a social movement is a complete distraction from all of the actual issues that we are not here's my question to you. I like
Oh my
sincerely.
gosh, I don't know. Like,
If the dominant,
like we're dealing and we're trying to, we're like, it's like all of a sudden spirituality is not important, but it's okay for a lot of these third world individuals to come in and practice their religion. It's just a weird, it's like a weird lefty stand. It's almost like a soft white supremacist kind of position, because we we are white, and therefore we have to just eliminate certain things that we usually practice, and that way minorities can come in and we can sort of like balance it out. It's very weird.
social movement, or like the dominant social and cultural force in this country, were atheists, do you think the corporations would still act the same way, or would they probably promote more like atheist, whatever? Because you're talking about all of these ways that secular leftism has infiltrated everything, and I don't think that is necessarily because anyone out here is like, oh, we're trying to take away the rights of Christians to work. I think it's because corporations will do whatever they can to profit, period. And so the values system that I am promoting, the ethical framework that I am promoting,
hang on. Can we back up real quick?
Profit.
Wait a second. I'm actually confused here. You don't think that secular leftists have been trying to make it so that right-wingers can't work? Are you serious?
Can't work? What do you mean?
That's what you just said.
What do you mean? I don't know what you mean can't work.
Well, for instance, leftists are the ones under the secular framework who claimed for years that the ideology of the right was so dangerous that they needed to be deplatformed, depersoned, and debanked, not allowed to have any sort of voice in the mainstream at all. That was your secular framework. That was all secularists doing that, not Christian nationalists. Christian nationalists were the ones who said you can have a platform. They were the ones who were guarding your speech, not secularists, not secular atheist lunatics. They weren't doing that at all. They were deplatforming everybody who was on the right, especially during COVID-19. Remember, there's misinformation. A lot of it wasn't misinformation. They deplatformed them anyway. Under Joe Biden, they did the same thing. The Biden administration went to Facebook and many of these other large tech corporations, and what did they do? They said that they wanted these people deplatformed. They wanted them removed. They wanted all of this removed for, quote, misinformation, when a lot of it wasn't even misinformation by Facebook's own admission. That wasn't Christians doing that or Christian nationalists doing that. When they do boycotts, when Christians do boycotts, they do product boycotts. I've not seen yet where Christians are specifically going after people. Clear up until Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It's the only time I've ever seen Christians say, you know what, if you're going to celebrate that on camera, then we'll inform your employer. It's always been leftists who've done that.
So again, I did not blame Christians or Christian nationalists for any of that. I would encourage you to consider.
It's your fault. I'm blaming you guys for that.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's the point. I'm blaming you guys.
I'm telling you that the actual issue here, the people that you really need to be blaming are not secular leftists, whatever that
They're
means.
the ones demanding it.
But it's the corporation leaders who are the ones making it happen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, let me ask you something. On your corporate YouTube channel, right, which is run by a gazillionaire corporation. Can I just ask you?
You and
hang
I
on, can I finish now? Can I finish now? Can I finish? So the thing is like, okay, so you on your gazillionaire-owned, bazillionaire corporate Google-owned, do no evil YouTube channel where you preach this communist bullshit. Did you make a single video about the hundreds of NGOs which funded No King's Day? Even one?
That's my point, Andrew. My point is that they will back whatever dominant social movement because they don't give a crap. Sorry, I don't know.
That's leftist.
They don't care about what actual beliefs are. They don't have beliefs.
Secular leftist.
Their only value is profit. So they don't care.
Listen. That's a secular leftist movement for the same things that you're talking about. Equity, egalitarianism, equality. That's what No King's Day was all about, right?
I'm telling you that the corporations don't care.
Yes, listen. I agree that there's a profit. I agree that there's a profit motive. I'm asking who's actually the one utilizing it. It's not our side. It's your side that's always had the corporate donors. The corporate donors are always behind the gay rights. The corporate donors are always around your shit.
There's so much verifiable evidence of televangelists getting bukus of cash. That's an insane take. Both sides are equally okay. I don't want to say
they're not equally.
They are totally both funded.
No, listen,
they are totally both funded just fine.
The distinction between left and right. Yeah, okay. Here, I'll just give you one. Again, The last No Kings Day. Would you like to go through the list of over 500 NGOs which assisted with the funding
What
of
about
that?
the actual verified, all of the cash flowing into all of the right-wing commentators online?
Really? But that's not the point. You're the one that is against all these billionaires. But at the same time, you're okay with your receiving their money, which makes your argument just fall apart. The reason it makes it fall apart because you're receiving what you're criticizing at the same time, which makes no sense. People call that being a hypocrite. But let's see.
From who?
From right-wing organizations.
From grassroots people who give them tons of money. Which actual organizations are you talking about? Now, if you're talking about like
you're saying, Lauren saying we are the only generation of Americans that elected a president who was found guilty of felonies and found liable. He was not guilty. Found liable for sexual abuse. That's not true. Democrats think this is embarrassing and shameful, but I love it. Yeah, but your statement is not correct. Donald Trump was not guilty. He was indicted, but he was not guilty.
The AIPAC funds, and when right-wing groups are getting money from from Israel and shit like that, totally agree. That needs to be cut off immediately. Under Christian nationalism, it would be. But the left, they're also getting tons of money from Islamic groups like CARE and others who are on the Palestinian side of the conflict being exploited just as much. And that's still not even the big corporate donor money, which, by the way, is influenced by academia. Most of the way that corporations utilize their think tanks in order for profit motivation or to understand profit motivations, they use what? Sociological studies. Academics are the ones who provide that for them, and the left is in charge of academia. Yeah, I don't think that the utopia that you're promising us here under your secular ethics, if that's the case, we see it right now and it sucks. It sucks. Look, hang on, almost done. The idea that we can't, for instance, implement bans on pornography, that we can't, for instance, say, okay, when it comes to marriage, it's between one man and one woman because we want to see the birth rates heightened. The fact that we want to eliminate mass migration into the nation, which is to the deficit of almost everybody, right? These are things that we're proposing. What even are the things we're proposing that you have a problem with here?
Okay, going back to everything you just said, I'm pretty sure all of it can be traced back to still the value ethics of profits over people, which I'm not arguing is Christian or secular, okay? I'm not arguing that it's any religious or otherwise, alignment there. But the profit over people is totally why, whatever you were saying about academia.
Then what's the argument
funded
against
by
Christian
X, Y, and Z.
nationalism?
The argument is that it is a distraction. As a social movement, it is keeping us all distracted.
It's a distraction. Wow, this
is
is crazy, bro. It is a distraction. Talk about an abstract concept, distraction.
Yeah.
That's it? It's just that it's a distraction?
You're out here so focused. You're out here so focused on two men having sex that you refuse to. I don't think I've ever seen any clips of you talking about, and people need to be able to eat and people need to be able to be sheltered. Okay, you are much more concerned with sexuality, and as if that truly is the root problem of everything going on.
I think
that's insane.
I think that social degeneracy is one of the prime reasons you see such failures in society. And so here, let me give you an example of this. I think you're focusing actually on the wrong things here. In the fattest country ever, you have access to food in the United States like nothing else anywhere on planet Earth. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about here. When you're saying that there's economic inequality, right? The reason that that's so ambiguous is because, like, what would you even do? Let's say that you wanted to start a business. How would you even be able to do that without having startup capital, which you could borrow at some kind of interest rate? You couldn't even do it. It's not even possible. It's how we beat the communists, by the way, because their whole idea was that they would reduce your access to capital. And that's how people get out of the poorhouse. That's literally how they do it. So the question to you is this. It's like, okay, great. Let's just cede the worldview for a second and say Christian nationalism is a distraction. From what, though? From what?
What do you mean from what? I've just been saying it this entire time.
Yeah, tell me. Give me one issue. Let's go to one issue at a time.
Mass pornography is not, unsafe for kids. Well, it is.
What? Wait, what?
Calm down. It's not unsafe for kids because of social degeneracy.
You gotta get clipped.
That's totally fair. I just
you gotta get clipped.
It's not unsafe for kids because of social degeneracy. It's unsafe for kids because these corporations have been allowed to propagate this content without any checks, without any regulation. It is totally unchecked capitalism. Period. Full stop. They are
corporations
profit
are
over
totally
people.
regulated.
Okay, so, but I'm saying
corporations
that
are
it's
heavily
not because
regulated.
we're out here being
a lot of these corporations that they do like PORN, they're heavily regulated, but it's not stopping. The thing is, it's not stopping kids to surface through the web and just finding the content easily. Right now, it's so easy. It's even here on Twitter. It's in Instagram. It's everywhere. You can find stuff like this everywhere. When she says a distraction, it's meaning it works. When she's saying Christian nationalism is a distraction, she's saying, in other words, in my opinion, that it works. Christian nationalism is basically the antidote to a lot of our problems right now. And yeah, a lot of people are not going to like this in the right, but we have to start, basically passing laws against a lot of these degeneracy. We cannot keep doing this. This was not supposed to be like this. All of a sudden, since the 50s all the way to now, when we talk about freedom, it's all degeneracy. All degeneracy for the sake of degeneracy. Now, we have to stop doing this. We have to just be... we have to have a lens here that make ideas like this less favorable.
Wanting to let's go do a sexual degeneracy. What does that even mean?
Okay, no. So what do but do you see how you're not really answering? It's just ambiguity again. So it's like, okay,
I'm clearly naming the issue.
Can you calm down for a second? It's total ambiguity. You're like, okay, look, this corporations, they're a problem. Okay, great. What the fuck do you want to do about it? What are you proposing we do about this?
I think, okay, so you talk about a social ideological movement that kind of bands everyone together. We get all unified, all of that. Conceptually, great. I think we need to maybe focus on the actual issues at hand and use the system there's a million different ways to attack the angle. I'm not an expert on that part, but I would say that starting with the reshift of everyone's focus away from what everyone's doing in the privacy of their own homes and into, hey, they're
not doing it in the privacy of their own home. And by the way, if you're doing drugs in the privacy of your own home, we regulate that too. We can regulate behavior that you do in the privacy of your own home. You can do black market stuff in the privacy of your own home. What's your point? That's silly. That's still silly on its face. But I would like to know specifically, corporation evil.
We need more
specifics of what you're going to do about this.
We need, at the very least, more social welfare programs, and I know that
higher taxes.
Higher taxes on the top percent. You know what I love about most Christian nationalists.
Who are the top percent?
I've let you talk a lot.
Yeah, who are the top
a lot of the best the main arguments for a lot of Christian nationalists I've seen is well, what about the economic prosperity of the 1950s? What about everyone having more, mostly white people, more access to homes and all of this stuff and all of this stuff. And they're not including the 91% tax rate of the top.
And I think when they say that, when white people out here say stuff like that, I think it's in my opinion, it's like a soft white supremacy talking point. Because white people are superior, therefore they have to just get out of the way to just kind of give opportunity to those that are inferior. You see what I'm saying? It is like a soft white supremacist kind of talking point. And it's dishonest. That's the point. It's dishonest. That because it's dishonest, it's coming off wrongly.
Tax bracket in this country into their equation, and they're saying, well, what's different now?
That's because I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
I'm sure you've got
on the 91% tax argument from the left, but almost none of them paid it. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Almost none of them ever paid it. And you know why? Because they're the ones
that seems incredibly convenient.
Well, the thing is isn't it? And this is why. It's because right now in government,
capitalism.
In your great, no, it's not because of capitalism. Because inside of your great democracy, what's happened is this. In democracy, you can't tell people that they can't accept money to run for office. You can't tell them that they can't do that because it's democratic. You can do what you want. So here's what happens. These lawmakers in Capitol Hill, they don't actually make any laws. They're lawyers, but they don't make any laws. What happens is they have a think tank of lawyers, and those think tanks, they write all the laws, and then they hand them to their legislative body. The legislative body goes and makes a proposition. Then other think tanks take a look at it and go, okay, let's take a look at this, dot an I, cross the T. And most of the time, those think tanks have corporate donors, right? And you have corporate donors behind it. What system would you ever propose that would get rid of that? Having a top-tier marginal tax rate, which, by the way, it's a marginal tax rate. It's like you get above $1 million and then it goes up. You get above $1.5 million, it goes up above that. Get above $2 million, it goes up, right? Until you get to 91%. And by the way, that would be a drop in the bucket as far as, yeah, okay, you want to do the math? You want to do the math of what our GDP looks like? All right, our overwhelming GDP and what it would look like if you had a marginal tax rate on if you made over $4 million for today's adjusted currency. If you taxed it at 91%, it would be a drop in the bucket. It wouldn't address any of these issues. So even if you tax the rich at a marginal tax rate where you hit that margin and then you go past it, it still wouldn't address any of those issues. It's not enough money. It's not enough money. You know how much we spend on Social Security? How much we spend on Social Security? It's the largest spending that the United States does. It trumps the military. It's like, yeah, I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about when it comes to social safety nets and how much money you actually need here.
Well, it'd be a much better use of our money than the industrial military complex. I'll tell you that right now. But
nobody's disputing that.
I totally appreciate. Yeah, exactly. I totally appreciate that you're at least talking about the economics of this country and what actually matters for the everyday people, as opposed to
talk about it all the time.
What their neighbors.
Yeah, that's some gaslighting right there, bro. I'm glad that you're talking about the economic life, bro. You're talking with right wingers. This is one of our main topic, economics. We talk about economics all the time. We talk about just dealing with the debt. We talk about low taxes, all this stuff. What are you talking about? That's some gaslighting right there.
I talk about, listen, the funny thing here is like, do you think these things aren't intertwined? OnlyFans is a multi-billion-dollar operation full of corporate donors, including the guy who owns it, who gives money to NGOs who influence Congress. Why do you pretend? Hang on. No, don't blame me.
You're blaming me, though.
Don't blame me, honey. Listen, so that you understand and note that these are all intertwined. The social degeneracy is much intertwined with the various ideas of these think tanks influencing government as economics are. The social fabric itself, though, the only thing that could ever stand up to any of the things you're talking about would be the family unit. That's it. The strong backbone of a central dynamic of a family unit. How do I know? Because it's the only thing that ever did. It's the only thing that ever did. And you scoff, right? You think that alternative family units and things like this are going to somehow help you stop the corporate oligarchy? They don't give a fuck. They can't wait for you to bring in more mass migrants so that they can exploit them. They don't give a shit. That's why Bernie Sanders said that mass migration was a thought process of the Koch brothers because they wanted to exploit cheap foreign labor. And that's exactly what they've done.
So your answer to all of this, the corporate greed and all of these exploitative practices and everything is a mom, a dad, and two kids. That's your answer for the economic inequality that people that you are listening to this right now. They're struggling in a job market. They're struggling in a housing market. You think a better family unit is going to help everyone do better, and a system that continues to exploit them, continues to pay them less while expecting more for their rent.
The system system's doing that. Here's what's.
You know what I? Oh no,
I thought you wanted me to answer. Oh, okay. Go on your diatribe. Come on. Tell me how you're going to fix it with communism.
I respect the viewers and the people who are listening to this a lot more than to say like, hey, actually, if you just have sex with this person, all of your problems will be okay. No, I respect our viewers a lot more than that. And I think that they deserve to band together and understand that collectively we can focus on more programs and social safety nets that will allow them.
You can't collectivize if you don't have shared social values, lady.
The shared social values is, I've been laying them out this entire time.
We don't have them.
She has not. And I don't know. Why, as an atheist, why I would just share collective value with an atheist when the atheist is not sharing the same collective value with me? Like, that makes no sense.
The same We
You're
don't
more
have the
focused
same
on
shared
dividing
social
people.
values.
You're
We
more
don't-
focused on telling.
How are you going to include
telling
me?
the
I don't
difference.
share your values. I don't want any of the
That's
things you want.
literally what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
want any of the things you
You
want.
are so focused
how are you
on
supposed to
everyone's
include me?
religious
That's another
religious
gaslighting.
differences.
Uh-huh.
You are so focused on everyone's religious differences that you refuse to operate from a perspective, from a starting point of shared humanity, and that we are all in this
That's
together.
ridiculous.
Let's
Honestly,
start-
at the end of the day,
What?
that's the difference between you and
I
me.
see. I see. So I'm supposed to have an arbitrary axiom that you made up, which is shared humanity, whatever the fuck that means, completely ambiguous, doesn't tell us any complexity
The question
of any moral
is
system.
Christian nationalism
turn.
bad?
My
And I
turn.
said yes.
My turn. So
Totally.
anyway, it's completely ambiguous. Completely ambiguous. Shared humanity means nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
You're all
Yeah,
here
hang
all
on.
the time
Can I get
saying
two
that rights
seconds?
are
Can
social
I
constructs.
If that's the case, then
You're
if
always
I
saying
want,
rights are social constructs.
and if
so
that's
you
the
can't
case,
argue that
yeah.
I'm being ambiguous about social constructs.
Wait,
That's
wait,
not
I'm sorry.
appropriate.
If you want shared humanity as being a starting axiom, I think you better fucking explain it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
I think you better do
Let's go.
that. Yeah.
Let's go.
So shared humanity, what are all of the actual things that we all deal with? Not whether or not someone wants to have sex with this person or whatever, and all consenting adults, da 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 da. The actual shared values that we all have is, hey, I want to feel safe, I want to be fed, and I want to participate in a meaningful way in a society, aka
Those aren't shared
fulfilling
values
job.
we all have. You just made it all up.
That's
yeah, exactly.
it's but at the very least, it's a much more
He
shared
made all
value
that stuff up,
system
man.
than whether or not there's a God, than whether or not homosexuality
No.
is a sin.
No,
100% more unifying, and you're focused on more divisive concepts. Period.
Most of the world is much more unified under the idea of God than whatever crazy system you just
And
proposed.
it's the easiest way to just unify it. If you cannot start with an idea that can unify at least the spiritual sides of things, how are you going to unify the rest? It makes no sense. When you think about it, it makes no sense. We come from different backgrounds. We come from different regions. We come from a lot of things that are completely different. Somehow, you want to take language away, and then you want to take religiosity away. So, two things that might keep us together, you want to take it out. Language, because they want to change it. They want to use the GUI, all that stuff. That's changing the language where you cannot even identify with the language itself. Like it's
for instance, there's 2.5 billion Christians, right? You know how many secularists there is when we compare it to Islam and then other religions? Religion is the dominant force for shared values, not secularism. That's one. And two, you're still being completely ambiguous. And when you gave me all these things which are shared values, they're not shared values.
They totally are.
You can't collectivize with me because I don't want to.
Because you don't care. Oh, so you're saying you don't care about housing and food and shelter. Is that what you're saying?
I
just
do.
To be clear?
Here's the thing. It's funny, right?
No, because you just said that you don't share those values. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah. You're talking about a hierarchy of needs versus value structures.
We are not.
Oh, do I need to drink water? Do I need to drink water? Yes.
Thank you for bringing up the hierarchy of needs, because you're focused 3 steps ahead about whether or not there's a God. Meanwhile, people's base pyramid needs are not met. And I said that those matter the most. Those matter: food, shelter, clothing, da da da.
Okay, let's get into
those
shelter.
matter the most, and you just said no. You said that those do not matter.
Yeah. Let's get into shelter first. So let's start with this, right? So in your hierarchy of needs, are you aware that most homeless people suffer from significant mental illness, and that's why they're homeless?
That's an insane jump.
Okay,
that's
how?
Your take?
Your entire premise here is that you want to talk about the hierarchy of needs and that people aren't getting access to food and shelter, and that all this is a distraction. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the mental illness and the drug addicts, and that's why they're homeless.
Mental illness? That's okay. So mental illness is a result of, guess what? All of these basic needs and securities, period. So you're flipping the script and you're saying that mental health leads to these things. No, these things lead to mental health.
You want to know what is the biggest common denominator that you will find,
or religion itself,
between homeless,
hang
on. I'm glad we finally got here. Do you want to know what one of the biggest correlating factors is between homelessness and mental illness? Is single motherhood.
There we go.
And you will find that, and I can give you this. Hang on.
Because hang on.
Stop. I'll let you talk. You let me talk. Because now
you see what happens when you start putting female into a position of accountability. They get triggered, because we know that single mother home is a direct single mother homes create a high percentages of homeless and criminals, right? And we know this for years, guys. But somehow, then now we know the data. When that data comes into the conversation, they get triggered because it's true, and we cannot we cannot ignore it anymore.
Into the meat of things. So the thing is it's like this. Single motherhood is the biggest direct link. So when you ask me, you say, hey, Andrew, are you seriously trying to make the audience believe that having two parents in the home under some kind of economic stable conditions where they have a wholesome family is actually going to be helpful for their economic future? You just conceded that it would, lady.
I made no such concession. Again, I reverse it and I blame the system for the fact that single mothers cannot get their basic needs met, period.
Oh, it's single mothers can't get their basic needs met.
Because we're out here villainizing them instead of some Christian ethics you are. I at least have a lot of respect for the Christians.
They can't get their
care more about feeding the poor than whether or not two men are having sex, which again is clearly your top priority.
Well, that's funny because we're not talking. Are we talking about that right now? Are we talking about the single motherhood epidemic, which leads to homelessness and drug addict and self-abuse and self-harm and all of the various correlates that we find with single motherhood, including homelessness? It seems to me like if you really wanted to address the homeless problem, going to the system, which already gives them tons of social welfare, gives them houses, and then they ruin the fucking house they're in, destroy it.
That's what they voucher. They destroy them. And especially you go to those projects where they have a lot of vouchers in Section 8. Man, those houses look disgusting. The building, they look disgusting, and the elevator smell like pee.
Calm down. They literally will destroy the houses that they're given. In fact, there's been experiments. YouTubers have gone out, found homeless people, gotten them houses, and watched them destroy it within a couple of weeks because they're junkies. The thing that's really funny about this is like, look, you want to really combat that? You want to really combat homelessness? Start with how home dynamics work to begin with and what happens when you have mommy and daddy and they try to teach their kids actual values. Do you know what the success rate of those children are when they have intact two-parent homes? Oh, man, it's wildly successful in comparison to the alternative. You're not addressing these issues. You're just asking the state for a fucking handout.
I'm not asking this. Yeah, it's very easy to go straight to, well, since this is built as a meritocracy, then people need to earn X, Y, and Z. I totally get that.
That's true.
Again, you're right. The system is totally designed for the nuclear family unit to thrive more than anyone else. That's why I actually think you and I might agree. I don't want to put words in your mouth about the institution of marriage not really being the state's business, X, Y, Z, but there's so many and so yeah, the system is totally designed for the nuclear family unit to thrive above all else. I agree with that.
Good.
I'm seeing that as a problem.
How's that a problem?
What happens when there is abuse? Are you seriously blaming?
This is crazy, bro. Because single moms are not abusing their kids. Like single moms are not abusing the kids when they by themselves because they cannot handle the kids. So they have to scream. They have to put their will into the kids. They have to just hit them. They have to do all this stuff. And on top of that, they bring a stranger as a stepfather, and they end up just being victim. This is crazy,
every
man.
single mother for her situation, because that's kind of what it sounds like, and that she doesn't deserve the social safety nets that everyone deserves.
You know, it's really funny, right? I would if you were to propose to me, if you said, let's have an investigatory system where if a woman, for instance, was just being heavily promiscuous and screwing a lot of guys and got pregnant, too bad, sucks for you. Right? You made your choice in life. It was a terrible fucking choice that you made. Other people don't have to pay for your poor decision making, right? Then maybe I would have some agreement. But that's not what you're proposing here. What you're proposing is widening out social safety nets for single motherhood. And the thing that's really funny about that is that creates incentives for single motherhood. And you can see this over and over and over again with this court system stacked against men, for instance. When women go in and get divorces and they're awarded huge amounts of financial settlements, in fact, they own more homes now than men do, not because they bought them free and clear, but because they were awarded them in divorce settlements.
That's not true.
Yes, look it up right now. I'll bet you money right now on air it's true. You want to make that bet?
The reality is,
do you want to make that bet?
First of all, are you still saying
I didn't think so.
Your whole system of investigatory nature of single motherhood, it's such a scapegoat, and you're still blaming individual people.
You just told me that the nuclear family works better in this system, and that would do a lot to address the issue, and then at the same time, it's a scapegoat.
No, because the system is poorly designed in the first place. And
how?
What happens?
What should the system do instead? Give you whatever the fuck you want? What should it do?
No, well,
Well,
there we
reality
go.
is-
There we go. There we go. Got exposed. So get me everything. Here's the thing. Resources are created by who? Men. So she want to put men. This is my hypothetical. So if that's the case, that she want the government to give her resources, I guess she want to put men in a position that they're unlimited resources for them, without then committing to a man. Because the way she's speaking is that she want to create a system where traditional family are not existent. You see what I'm saying? By using men for resources and getting infinite of it, I guess.
What we have now is so based on an unequal distribution of power and therefore resources that we don't even have the starting base. Again, going back to that hierarchy of needs, of everyone's needs met. So going back to, is Christian nationalism bad for America? Yes, it is, because it's not focusing on the basic needs that are not being met nationwide. Period.
It's not only trying to focus on uplifting every human being under a moral, philosophical, and legislative system that makes sense, but it's also attacking things which are attacking the social fabric, which is leading to this, like the normalcy, for instance, of degenerate sex work, which leads to drug addiction, leads to single motherhood, leads to single trafficking, single motherhood in the home, and the promiscuity, which has now become rampant in society, which leads to single motherhood in the home, is one of the conditionals for the very homeless situation that you're trying to address. And instead of trying to address that and say things like, look, perhaps if we instead have propaganda around the single mother, instead of single mothers, the propaganda for them, you address propaganda from the top down in the social fabric of society to say, look, marriage is actually what's good. Having two-parent households is actually what's good. It's going to create great stability for Junior. Your chance of being homeless are going to be way less. Your chances of having bad outcomes in life are going to be way less. We can address those things right this second. We don't need a utopian future to do it. Instead of doing that, you're like, just more safety nets, tax the rich. That's not helping anybody. What are you going to do legislatively here that's going to help anybody? What?
I think at the end of the day, you're still more focused. First of all, it is completely irrational to expect everyone to believe in the same thing. It's completely irrational to expect everyone to fall in line.
We're supposed to collectivize. You want to collectivize.
I think that at the end of the day, you're talking about making this Christian utopia, and it's completely irrational.
It's not a utopia. What's the utopia?
Is.
What am I saying that's utopian? What?
That's like your, 300-year plan is Christendom?
And what am I saying right now legislatively that I would address, which is utopian?
I know that your take, so to summarize, your take is that the state needs to have more like, I don't want to say propaganda, but kind of propaganda about the nuclear family to convince everyone that was perfect.
Yeah.
Why didn't it work?
How is that even propaganda? How is that even utopia? How is this utopia when it's compared to these lefty lunatics worldview that everyone is the same, everybody should be receiving houses, everybody should be receiving food, everybody should be equal? How Christian nationalism is utopian compared to the opposite? I just don't get it. Christian nationalism was always a thing in the United States, always. It only became something different in the mid of the 20th century.
The past. Oh, because secular leftism
did it work for this? Did it work for this? Did it work for this? Did propaganda work for that?
Yeah, it did.
That's my point. That's my point. Is that it's not going to work because I actually respect.
No, it did work for this. It did work for this.
I actually respect the everyday person, and I think that they can make choices for their own lives. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are.
So backing up, did propaganda work for smoking?
I let you talk this entire time.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You cut me off 4 times.
What do you mean? That Christian nationalism is bad for the United States. Actually, everyday people is probably good for the government, but it's bad for everyday people because it is completely moralizing and putting this entire moral attack on all of these things that are not the root issue. It is not a nuclear family that is going to save us. That has been tested and it failed. And again, you're talking about, there's this shift in dynamics. Christian morality has never been the same. It has never always stayed the same. It has always shifted.
This is really funny.
Where we're at.
So here's the thing about this that's so fucking hilarious to me. No, nuclear families didn't fail. what happened is there was a bunch of leftist secular propaganda, starting with the Secular Human Manifesto 1, by the way. I don't know if you've ever read the first one, but it was actually very dogmatic, wasn't it? It was very dogmatic, Human Manifesto 1. And they didn't even secularize it.
Because it was religious.
Well,
it was Unitarian. It was a Unitarian Universalist.
It was Unitarian, and the design of it.
The more religious manifesto is more dogmatic.
No. It was Unitarian, specifically because they wanted to infiltrate churches and tell them this idea of having a nuclear family and a dad and a mom at home, it's archaic, it's stupid, it's foolish, like you're doing right now. You can't actually tell me why that's stupid. You can't tell me why it would actually be stupid for us tomorrow to have a massive...
I'm saying that a system that only benefits a nuclear family doesn't work.
My turn, lady. Yes, it does. You're literally appealing to outliers. You're appealing to literal fucking outliers. Almost everybody in the world,
according to your argument,
has a mommy and has a daddy.
Secular leftism has this huge pool, and it's not so much an outlier anymore. So according to your argument,
and now the pendulum's swinging. Now the pendulum's swinging, baby. So here's the thing that's so great.
And it's swinging, and I hope it's swinging to states. See, I don't want this thing just to go back and forward. I mentioned this in a couple of my videos before, that we have to make sure that the Democratic Party comes to what we are right now today in the Republican Party. Because what you want is that even if the Republicans lose, when a Democrat comes to place, make sure that they have, when it comes down to the most important thing, nationalism, immigration, and low taxes, and strong economy. That's it. If the Democratic Party has those three, we did a good job, because that's a cultural shift. Right now, the Democrats have none, which is going to take a little longer for them to come here to what we are today. I'm for the belief that we have to deport a lot of legal migrants out of the country. Those that haven't failed to just assimilate to the country, they have to go. But I don't want this to be swinging back and forth. No. It swing back to the right. It has to go hard right. Then we take the ball and we just ran with it. That's it. We're not playing the pendulum swing kind of game. Now we grab the ball and we just get it out of the court. That's it.
About this, right? And you still couldn't tell me. You could never tell me why it would be that if I, as a unilateral president dictator of the United States, said, okay, you know what?
Here we go.
We're going to have mass propaganda about having a nuclear family, right? And the idea that that you're a single mom by choice, not because your husband died or because it was, there was abuse or there was, drugs or something like this, but because you chose it because you were promiscuous and things like this. You're not getting handouts for that. Okay, what we are going to do is reward people in society who make these great contributions to it. They stay together. They stay really focused on society. That's the thing we're going to uplift. We're not going to punish these people, but from your view, just us not giving them free shit is a punishment. I'm not talking about giving free shit to people who have intact family units either. It's totally fair across the board. Except if you move society towards that, you're going to end up solving a bunch of these issues. You're going to end up solving the birth rate problem, huge issue that we have in the United States. You're going to end up solving a lot of the degeneracy issues, huge issues that we have. A lot of the corporate mega donors, if you have good intact families, they create good intact communities. That's the very thing, the social fabric that could actually stand up to your oligarchy of millionaires and billionaires. Right now, you can't do it. How are you going to get a bunch of Christian ethicists to go walk hand in hand with a bunch of homosexual sodomites to go, really stick it to these billionaires? If the billionaires are going to assist either side in their worldview, that's what they're going to push. The only thing you could ever count on is intact communities, which requires intact families. That's what it requires.
Honestly, Andrew, you're still focusing. Christian nationalism is still focusing on as long as nuclear family, as long as you fit into this conformed box and these specific beliefs and this ideology, then everything's going to be okay. And that is not rational.
You're making the same argument.
No. I let you talk this whole time.
But you're making the same argument.
I let you talk that whole time. Can you have some professionalism?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt your interruption? But anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
The entire premise of what I was saying is that until we solve everyone's basic needs, that doesn't matter whether or not we believe in a God and whether we want a nuclear family at all. Okay, because you're making all of these claims about what will actually fix society, and that's not even touching the actual problems in the first place. It's not social degeneracy, which you haven't even defined. I'm not asking you to, but the reality is we are not talking about whether or not someone should believe in God or not, whether or not a nuclear family is okay, or whether or not whatever your nuclear family, it's not going to work. It's not going to work as the ultimate propaganda. That's not going to work to bring everyone collectively together unless you're just straight up talking about manipulation and coercion. But you're living in a false world if you think everyone's just going to fall in line with that. So I'm living more in reality by saying, we don't need to start with that. We're not, top down doesn't work. We need to start from the bottom up and say, hey, everyone good here as far as like food, basic needs, etc. Okay, now we can talk about, let's have all these fun philosophical discussions about what's in the sky. That's fine. But you literally said it's about a top down. We need the government to be able to tell us what is true. And I'm saying, no, we need to tell the government what to do. That's really the difference.
Not only did I not say we need the government to tell us what's true, but I not only didn't say that, right? And you're putting words in my mouth, but no, what I said the only thing which would even be capable of challenging a system in the way that you're talking about
the current system
would be a unison.
The current system
of social,
which is not working.
Whatever system, doesn't matter what system you have.
That's
the social cohesion, you would need social cohesion. You ain't got it.
The nuclear family is not the basis.
Relax. Just let you go through your whole spiel. Not only is it, but let me tell you just how much it is, okay? How insane your take is. Here's the things that most people in the United States actually have. Shelter, food, and water. Almost everybody here has that. Almost every human being here right now, as we speak, has access to those things. Here's what they don't have access to, and it's fast becoming a majority. A dad in the home. They don't have access to that. Here's a lot of the things they don't have access to. Having grandparents that they can go to that aren't split across the board. Here's what they don't have. An intact family unit. That's fast becoming a majority. What you're talking about is addressing the needs of a minority, and a super minority at that, right? Most people right this second, as we speak, have access to shelter, food, water. Almost everybody. If you want to look at the stats to prove me wrong, then do it. But here's what you're bringing to the table. We need to address these things which have already been addressed under the capitalist system. It's already been addressed. Almost everybody already has access to them. You can go to a public park and there's public drinking water, for God's sakes. You can basically right this second on
which is basically a privilege, because there's a lot of countries that they can't even have public water. Like, that's just a privilege when you think about it.
Street that you went to, hold up a sign and say, I'm hungry, want a meal, and I guarantee you, someone will pass by in the next 10 minutes and hand you one, because that's how people are. And what's really funny about all this is, like, you're only addressing this really minute, small sect of the United States, but I'm trying to address these much larger problems of access. You want to talk about inequality? Let me tell you about inequality. Inequality is if I'm at home and you come from an intact family, from me and wifey, your chances of doing better than the kid down the street whose mom divorced daddy because she wanted to go suck the neighbor's cock, right? Your chances at life significantly increase just because you're coming from an intact home. That's the truth. What you're proposing is what? That the government hands people fucking soup? What do you want them to even do here about this infinitesimal problem? What?
It's not infinitesimal. People are struggling more in the job market. The housing market is increasing, and a lot of real economic anxieties are pushing people toward these radical, polarized opposite ends of every ideological spectrum we have. You honestly cannot deny that that is happening. People are getting more anxious about the future because of all of this instability, and they're looking for scapegoats, and you are sitting here providing them with one, and you are saying it is people who do not conform to the dominant.
Oh, come on. You're saying it's millionaires and billionaires. No. That's the scapegoat.
Yes, correct.
That's the scapegoat.
It's not
How's that not a scapegoat?
I won't say millionaires.
You're not in the position you're in because of a billionaire, lady. You're in the position you're in because of you. Whatever position you
I don't know
find
what you mean by
yourself
that.
in, 90% of people, the positions that they find themselves in
Oh,
life
no, that's-
aren't because of millionaires and billionaires. It's because of their own fucking stupid decisions. That's the
I've
truth.
heard you talk about rights before.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little
Wow,
bit about
that's a
why
huge
you
pivot.
think
That is a huge pivot right there. I heard you talk about right before. That's a huge pivot.
that the quote unquote
Wow.
secular left is so obsessed with just having, I don't know how you say it, but like, well, they just want rights to do whatever they want, and it's not about duty, and it's not about
Because they don't care.
responsibility.
Yes, I can dive into that. Yes. So when you are talking about forms of rights, right, there's no such thing as rights. What we're really talking about is access to force. That's what you're talking about, too.
That's what
You
it
just
is.
don't know it. But everything that you're propagating here, we need to collectively do X. What do you do with the people who don't collectivize and resist X? Well, you're going to have to use force. That's what you're going to have to do. And so really what we're arguing about here is the use of force in whose hands it's better in. Is the use of force better in the hands of Christian ethicists, or is the use of force better in the hands of abortionists and degenerates? That's what we're asking. And ultimately, that's all we're ever asking. You don't have a right to do anything except what the guy with the barrel of a gun tells you have a right to do. And that's the case, and it's been the case for all of human history. We like to forget that that's the case, but it is in fact the case. And so here's what I propose. Since I know that this is actually just a dominant power struggle, I do think that you want power to legislate whatever the hell it is that you want. And I think it's totally appropriate to want to do the exact same thing for the world that I want to see, which isn't a collectivization of a bunch of blue-haired freaks who say, oh, let's get a collectivized tax on some millionaires and that'll solve nothing. It'll solve nothing.
Yeah, you might receive some revenues right at the first round of money by taxing some of these millionaires or billionaires, but the second round you're getting nothing. You're getting nothing because what you are doing basically just injecting more money to the federal government, which is going to, of course, inflate it. At that point, when you inflate the federal government, you need more money. Where are you going to get the money? Where? A lot of these companies already went bankrupt because you tax them to the court. How are they going to make money? Oh, you're going to put a gun into their head that they better work and make this thing work. You know, it's crazy.
Okay, that wasn't really what I was asking, so I'll get back to that in a second. But okay, the use of force. I've seen that you kind of align with, what is it, Nietzsche's will to power.
No, not at all. It's
I've
a
heard you talk
descriptor.
about will to power.
No, I don't. No, you've never heard it once.
Okay.
I myself believe
You
that
think
this
that
is a
power is the
descriptor.
use?
Yeah, so what I'm giving you is a descriptor, not an ought claim. It's a descriptor for how the world works and how the world has always worked. And it's because human beings are animals. And there is
That's an interesting claim from
the
what
idea
I assume
here-
is a creationist.
Yeah, why is that an interesting claim? I'm using words you understand. So the thing is like, if this is the case, that we're animals, and we're looking at power dynamics, and that's what you're trying to solve for right now is power dynamics. You say that that's what inequality is, right? It's the idea that one group is going to have more power than another group. That's what the whole point of it is. Otherwise, you wouldn't even care about inequality. Mm-hmm. The whole root of all of this is really just power. Who wants power? You think power is best in your hands, and I don't. I think that power is best served in the hands of the Christian ethicist and not you people, because we see that your prescriptions are terrible.
You put words in my mouth. I would disagree. I think that the power is best equally distributed amongst. I would put you and me in the same category as that. I would not say me power.
It can't
over
be.
You.
It can't. Power can't be.
I know that you don't see that as a possibility.
No, it can't be.
Saying no. I know that you don't see that as a possibility. I'm saying that's what I see.
You don't see it as a possibility either. I'll explain how. I know it's for sure you can't.
Hold on. I had an actual question about rights that we
did not
but
I want to follow up on this, and then we go to rights. So the thing is like, no, in every society that you would ever propose, you're going to have an enforcement arm, no matter what. And if you're going to have an enforcement arm, and you're going to have an enforcement arm, there's no society you can propose to me right now that doesn't have an enforcement arm. If that's the case, they're going to necessarily have to be imbued with power to enforce the things that you want. You can't, and I'll tell you what, if I'm wrong, give me a single society that doesn't require enforcement.
Again, the difference between you and me is you keep saying that they are combative, and I think that there is room for Christianity under secularism. There's not room for atheists under Christian nationalism. That's the difference between you and me.
Well, why? You're here right now, and you just said that we're all Christians in charge. So what are you talking about? That contradicts your whole position. You just said that the entire United States, States is already Christian nationalist, and you're here right now as secularist. You're not in prison, so you just lied.
And you're very clearly trying to not include me in positions of decision making. You're very clearly not trying to include me.
That's not saying you can't exist.
I don't want to.
Me saying that I want to be in power,
family unit or whatever the fuck.
Me saying that I don't want you to have. Me saying that I don't want you to have political power is not the same thing.
You're out here talking about putting words in my mouth. I don't think
crazy.
She cannot shut up, man. At this point, she cannot shut up. She just gaslighting.
I need more power than you. I think that it's totally fine for atheists and Christians to coexist, but your entire premise is that atheists have no room in any decision making. They can't not be about the nuclear family unit. And I'm here saying, like, y'all can believe whatever you want. Y'all can, well, that's very okay of me. Y'all can have your nuclear family unit. That's fine. But the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your ideological beliefs. It shouldn't be based on whether or not you have a nuclear family unit.
But the thing is like, don't you see the various contradictions that you're making? You say, well, wait a second, the distribution of resources shouldn't be based on your worldview. It should be based on my worldview. The various, hang on, chill out.
I know it's a difficult concept
to
understand.
It's my turn.
I totally understand. It's tricky.
Calm down.
But to be clear, that's not what I said.
My turn. I just let you finish. Calm down. So it is what you said, right? And it's a contradiction. That's the first contradiction in your worldview. The second is you open this by saying you already have a Christian nationalist nation. Are you happy? Are you happy about it? And you say there's no room for secularists inside the Christian nationalist nation, even though you're right here, right now. Nobody's putting you in prison. Nobody's saying can't be on the internet. Nobody's saying any of those things inside the Christian nationalist nation that we already currently have. There's no room for you. Me saying that I don't want people who hold your ideology to have power, and so I'll fight for power for people who hold my ideology is not saying you can't exist here. That's fucking insane. That's not even a take. That's not even a take. It just is babble. It doesn't mean anything. What are you talking about? Me saying I get to have power if you get to have power, and I'm going to fight for my side to have it, is not saying there's no room for you. And if it was, you'd be saying the same thing. I want to fight for power so Christian nationalists don't have it, would be the same thing as you saying that means that you're not included in our secular society. Do you see how insane that is?
But you're still trying to pit us to get against each other, and I'm still pushing back against that. I don't think so. I think that we have, or at least I would hope that you care about the viewers having their basic needs met, and them not having economic anxiety about the future, and them having meaningful, fulfilling participation in society. I hope that's what you care about. Yeah, I guess I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm pretty sure that we're aligned about that.
No, I don't think we are aligned about that.
I'm pretty sure maybe we have different ways to go about it. That feels weird to say, but
what's the word accountability mean to you? What does that word mean? Accountability.
No, if we're gonna switch gears, can we go back to rights? Okay,
let's go back to rights.
I guess so. Let's go back to rights.
I want to know why you think that minority groups asking for more rights is about people just getting this whole notion of like they don't want any more responsibility, they don't want any more duty or whatever.
Because that's not what they usually are in askings of quote rights. There are no rights which minorities don't have. Can you name one?
Hold on, there are no rights. What?
There are no rights extended to me that aren't extended to minorities. Can you name a single one?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to ask you your stance on that. Is you think that you get frustrated
if there's not a single one. So I don't even know what the point is. So there's not a single right. Yeah. There's not a single right that's extended to me that's not extended to minority groups, not a single one. And so the thing is like what's the point of contention? You say they're fighting for more rights. Fighting for more rights to do what? What? So to abort their kids, right? Fair. To abort their kids? To abort their kids? That's what they're usually fighting for the right for? To abort their kids.
Again, going back, tying this back into the conversation about power, I think that and all of these initial social rights movements are not so much about, hey, we'd like to rather do whatever we want, and more about like, hey, there's been too much power, kind of like what you're talking about with Christians supposedly being taken over by secular leftism or whatever. So maybe understand this concept.
Okay, maybe we have an olive branch here, actually.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
What? No. Oh, an olive branch.
Yeah, I think maybe we have an olive branch here, right? So I do think that the justification for most of the, quote, rights movements of feminism and things like that has been, their justification is that there's unequal distribution of power. So the olive branch to you is, I think that is how they justify that. Absolutely. I just think it's fucking stupid. There is never going to be a such thing as an equalization of power. That's fantasy land, pure fantasy land. The thing is that distributed power is always going to be enforced by the patriarchy. The feminists are always going to have to appeal to the patriarchy for power. There's no choice. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an oppressed class. Who would feminists be oppressed by? They have to be oppressed by men, right? Who else could oppress them? Has to be men. It's like, why you say I divide, I think it's the opposite. I think you guys divide. I think you're always looking for the oppressor-oppressed class, and you divide between them so that you can pit what you consider the oppressed against the oppressor, which is exactly how Marx had it, right? The proletariat and the bourgeoisie. The proletariat's being oppressed by the bourgeoisie. You need to collectivize.
Fair.
You need to overthrow them.
Okay,
Just like they did the Tsar when they shot Tsar Nicholas and killed him. The Marxists did, and killed all the Orthodox Christians. They were really trying to make sure we could live together, weren't they?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? You don't even have to go that far. Go to the Spaniard Civil War. The Bolsheviks, which were part of the Catalonia, I think were the Republican Party in Spain. It's weird, right? Republican Party in Spain. They actually just took mostly all the religious leaders and just delete them. The Bolsheviks, they just, in Spain, they just delete almost all of the religious leaders. Yeah, and that's a good argument. Like, that's a good evidence. So there's no evidence where you have these type of individuals holding power where you don't even know if you're going to be alive because of your belief system. But somehow Christians were supposed to play here and allow them to just express their position. And if they hold power, just let it be.
Okay. The olive branches, that's fair. If we're going to talk about, there is always going to be at least some level of unequal distribution of power. I think that, again, this goes back to, you're pitting it between two different ideologies, and I'm trying to pit it from people.
Yeah, you're trying to use class,
level.
correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so the idea,
fair.
yeah, so but here's the threshold breaker, and this is why it's really important that you hear what I'm about to say to you, because it could change your life. I doubt it will, but it could. You have to use class. You have to use class because there's always going to be class differentials between people, no matter what. No matter what.
Well, you just said patriarchy would always exist.
Hang on, I'll explain. The truth is, some people are born smart and some people are born dumb. Some people are born tall, some people are born short, right? And that's going to lead to unique advantages that some people will always have, no matter how you try to compensate it with whatever system you try to compensate it with. And so power is necessarily always going to be distributed to a few. Always, no matter what. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's how power is always going to be distributed, because some people are really smart and they can accumulate it to themselves. And a lot of people are really fucking dumb and they actually want to be ruled. And this is where you people get everything wrong. A lot of people actually want to be ruled. They want things to just work and they go about their day and they don't have to pay attention to nothing. They prefer that. And the thing is like, until we can ever get into the progressive into your guys' head, till we can beat it into your head, that many people's preference is just that they go about their day and they're not bothered. That's it. They don't want anything to do with any of these systems. They don't care about it at all. It's not necessary. They actually want to be ruled. There's people who like having bosses. They like the structure of that, right? They're not radicals. It's not important to them, right? And when you're talking about the reason, that's why you have to use class. You always have to say you're oppressed because of your class. You're oppressed, you're oppressed, you're oppressed. That's how you whip up the mob. The distinction here is that I'm not saying that you're oppressed by people because they're in powerful positions and you're not. That's your guys' take.
Okay, so I might be kind of hitting a wall, but okay, so back up. The nature of, again, hold on. Repeat that last sentence you got.
Oh, come on now. 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 So you're basically, we're not listening. You're probably getting tired at this point.
Yeah, the idea here, for the reason that you have to use class is because you always believe that there needs to be an oppressor, because that's how leftists get power. They collectivize with the oppressor-oppressed dynamic. My side doesn't believe that. We don't believe that because there's positions of authority that some people are in,
Oh,
and
that's
there's
what it was.
certain
Right.
there's certain prestige that comes with that. That means I'm being oppressed.
I think that I have a little bit more respect for the everyday person, and I don't think everyone's stupid. I don't think there are a lot of dumb
I don't
people
think
out
they're
there.
stupid. That's not
You
what
actually
I'm
said that. No, you said a lot of people are dumb. You said that.
Do you disagree with that statement?
I do disagree with that statement. I
So
don't
you
think a lot of people are dumb.
most people
All
are
right, this is Mama talking now. Like, come on, there are dumb people, and it's okay to admit it. There are smart people, and they're dumb people. So you can admit they're smart people, but then you cannot admit they're dumb people. Of course, they're stupid and smart. There's stupid people and smart people. Come on
I
now.
think everyone has full. Yeah, I think most people. Okay, yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm 100%.
Do you think most
that
people in
everyone
Pakistan were like
Hold on,
70% of them
hold
are
on.
inbred or smart?
You had everything you were saying. I'm
Go ahead.
responding to what you were saying.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the respect of that.
Go ahead.
So I think that people. I don't think that everyone or most people are dumb. I don't think that. I think that people. I have the respect of people to make the decisions for their own lives. And you're right. That does include like, hey, maybe they like structure. Maybe they like having a little bit of the ability to, okay, so the ability to walk around their lives and not have to worry about all of this class oppression, all of this stuff is not going to come when they're being told what to do. Actually, paradoxically, the ability for them to live through their lives and deal with whatever they want to deal with and have fun with their friends and spend time with their family and all of that is not about someone at the top telling them what to do. It's about on the horizontal level, their basic needs are met, period.
Then tell me this.
When they're not in survival mode, they're able to go out there and do all of those things.
Can you help me?
Maybe they want more structure.
Can you help me
Maybe they want a little bit
something?
more freedom. But at the system that I'm talking about serves their needs no matter what. It doesn't matter if they do or don't want structure. You're still doing some people want this, but some people don't. I'm like all of us.
Yeah, that's nice. But the problem is that it's again nebulous ambiguity. We don't even know what it means.
So is the idea of a Christendom.
No, it's not. And here I got specific proposals that I'll give, and I can never get them from you guys because you don't have them. And the thing is so funny here is like, let's move into this because this is actually really important. When we're talking about this idea of class here, we're talking about the idea of the oppressor oppressed. You said, I do believe most people are smart. Then can you answer me one question? If most people are smart, how the fuck did a couple of guys end up ruling all of them?
What's your question? Okay, so that's fair. That's fair. I do think that everyone is smart, though. I do think.
Then can you answer my question?
Yes.
How did all these smart people end up having just a couple of people rule all of them?
You think that it was them being smart? I would argue that it was them being more vindictive and oppressive. And not smarter.
So they're just more immoral. They're just more immoral than the average Joe.
Yes, I would argue that.
So if the people then are really smart,
I would totally agree with that.
If people then are really smart, why would they allow just a couple?
I don't know, maybe
just a couple of fucking degenerates who are billionaires rule them all if they're so smart.
That's a good question. I would say that maybe because the actual level of intelligence is whether or not you're community based and you're so focused on being a good person that you're not going to try and go out and exploit a bunch of people. Maybe that's it. Maybe the really dumb ones are at the top because they think that that's what's going to bring them meaning and fulfillment. But at the end of the day, all of us down here are like, no, we were fine. And you're out here trying to exploit all of us. Now we have an issue.
So to get this right, let me summarize. Really smart people, which most people are, allow themselves to be ruled by a couple of fucking dipshits.
You just you're saying that's my point.
Yeah,
sure.
By a couple of dipshits. They're ruled by a couple of dipshits because they're so fucking smart. Is that right?
I'm saying that you don't get into those positions of power by being what I would say even most Christians would say ethically minded. Honestly, maybe you disagree with that. Maybe that is the most ethical manifestation of Christian values. I don't know.
They get
because the Christian morality is pretty flexible.
Now let me tell you how they actually got there, because you didn't give me an answer. You just said, well, it's because
I was talking and then you interrupted me.
Okay, go ahead. Give me an actual answer and explain the phenomenon of how it is that 300 million people are ruled by a couple of fucking billionaires if they're so smart.
Because first of all, it's not just these two billionaires. There's been an entire generations upon generations of a system working, which way back when started with, guess what? The unequal distribution of resources. And this has been built on over and over and over again.
How come these smart people didn't stop it?
Because they were not, why would the everyday person who I think is
because they're smart. They're smart.
Who I think is a good, kind-hearted, community member, focused on being of service to everyone else. That's their focus. That's the good people that I think even support you, Andrew. That's who I think people are. You're out here calling your own fans dumb.
Hardly.
First of all,
not the opposite, in fact. So let me explain.
You want them to
I'll
be,
go ahead and explain to you how this actually works. Okay, when you're done.
Your point earlier, point earlier was that everyone's dumb, so they want order. People who align with Christian nationalism are the ones who are professing that the most. So you're calling the participants of Christian nationalists the ones who are dumb and therefore want order the dumbest. That's the logic of your argument.
No, the logic here is actually the opposite. So I'm about to explain to you how people actually get into positions of power and authority, because you clearly don't know, or you wouldn't have given me a dipshit answer like, because everyone else was just running around being way too moral to pay any attention. Dumbest thing I ever heard. Well, actually, you know what? That might be the single dumbest thing I've ever heard from anybody ever. And let me just walk you through it so that you understand, right? The way that people get into positions of authority and power is because they're imbued with them. They're imbued with them from a people group. And do you want to know how I know that that's the case? Because at any time we want, we can collectively kill every single person in authority, and there's nothing they could do about it. And we don't. And it's not because of a control grid-based system that's set up. It's because we imbue people to take care of shit we don't want to deal with. We imbue them to take care of the roads, and we imbue them to take care of the power lines, and we imbue them to take care of all the little government oversights and paperwork and shit we don't want to deal with, and foreign diplomats, and we imbue them to take care of trade deals. We imbue them with the authority to do that. So that
you said that you are saying that inequality is inevitable. So there was geniuses in 1905 that invented what he called the Lorentz curve, that measure what perfect distribution is. I didn't know that. But yes, it's inevitable. That you can, inequality actually has to exist to create balance in the world. So I agree with that statement.
We don't have to, because that's what fucking smart people do. They take details, right, and they give them to people to take care of those on their behalf, right? Not because of immorality or morality. Your government is the reflection of the moral fabric of the social order that you live in. And if you hate your government and you think that they're decadent and immoral, that's because the population has become decadent and immoral. And it's always a reflection thereof, going all the way back to Rome.
Which I would blame on capitalism. So I feel like we're actually
Roman capitalism.
A bit of an agreement on that, on the nature of capitalism that thrives on the value system of profit over people and exploits greed and uses greed to exploit all of these differences amongst all of us. So we're so totally distracted, which is why I think Christian nationalism is bad for America. I do think I'm kind of hitting a wall.
This is when we normally go to Q&A.
I don't know. I would like to finish the debate where I feel like we're right at the end, and I have a couple of questions for you.
We can wrap it up.
When it comes to this view. So the thing is like, I actually don't understand how you can make a case at this point in the debate that what you're not actually, because you remember, you didn't refute anything I just said about power, the distribution of power, human behavior, how it works. No, you didn't. How is it ultimately that what you're arguing for right now isn't the collectivized power of force to enforce what you want to see in society? How are you going to do this absent enforcement for your view? How?
I never said absent of enforcement. I said that the power be evenly distributed amongst all of us, and we all collectively decide together X, Y, and Z, which is the point of a democracy in the first place.
But power can't be equally distributed.
My understanding is that you're not. I don't know if you're like pro-democracy, but that's the point of democracy, right? So I did not say that no, power is never going to be unequally distributed. I said that on our level, if we're talking about all of the actual anxieties that everyday people are living through, it's not about the power between the right and the left. I think that's a total distraction. That's,
but
again,
I don't understand the view.
Argument.
I just want to make sure I understand the view. So here's what I don't get. You keep on saying that you want power to be equally distributed.
Well, but really, it's resources.
Resources. I agree. Earlier, resources is power. Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I mean. Is resources equally distributed? That's it.
So you would rather, I just want to make sure I got this right. You'd rather see everybody here than see some people here and some people there. If you had to
Okay,
choose,
let's
hang on,
be
I just want to make sure.
but
Hang on,
it's like
stop.
Come
I just want to
on.
make sure. I want to make
It's
sure.
not like that, though.
For the average person, it's not.
How about this?
Hang on,
We're
stop.
and I would rather it be here.
Let me ask the fucking question before you start answering it.
But it's not fair.
Let us assume for a second, okay, that when we create this distribution, you have people who are here and people who are here, okay? That's where they are. Now, in this distribution, would you rather see people here, right? Here. Or would you rather see them there? So if you have some people who have a lot more than these people here do, right? Just some more than they do. Would you still rather see that there?
Okay.
It's easy to answer. It's very easy to answer. But she's giving herself time to answer.
You're saying
so some people just have slightly more than these people. Would you still rather see it there?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the point.
Yes. So the thing is that when you get to that, does that mean that we all live in the same houses, like commie blocks?
Yeah, communists.
Okay, so that's fair. So I do think there is a bit of a utopia nature to a lot of that perfectly equal distribution. Fair. However,
I'm asking honestly.
Hold on.
Would you rather see commie blocks than a guy like me have like a nice big house? Would you rather see commie blocks than that?
I would rather. Here's my argument. Here's my actual argument. We're here. Can you see that? Okay, we're here.
Yeah.
I would totally much rather us just get to here. Okay, but we're so far here. And that is why people are experiencing so much anxiety, fueled by, guess what? The unchecked proliferation of the social media algorithms that don't care about whether or not we're addicted to our phones or addicted to content or whatever. They care about making as much money as possible through ads. Okay. I mean, look at us. So I think that, again, sure, I'm okay with.
I'm not concerned about ads.
I'm okay with people being here because it's much better than here. To answer that question, sure.
Yeah,
I don't live in some fictitious reality in which I think everyone will ever believe the same thing, which is what Christian nationalism.
But how is that not commie blocks?
That's such a jump. That's such a jump, and it's totally not.
Well, how is it not though? If we all have exactly the same and an equal distribution,
I said,
then everybody's going to get
here. Can we get here?
If I have a house,
you admitted it that you prefer first. You said that you prefer to see them right here. So now you backtracking.
It has 200 square foot more than a guy who has. I have 1,000 square feet. He has 800.
Going back to
If that's the case, do you take the 200 square feet and give it to somebody else? Right.
Going back to
how that would work. I really want you to answer the questions I'm asking.
I am, and you're not.
Yes or no. Yes or no. They're not loaded. They're not loaded. Yes or no. Is it the case that if I had 1,000-foot house in your utopia, some other guy had an 800-foot house, that I would need to lose 200 square feet on my house? Is that the case? Yes or no?
Andrew, I'm not answering it.
I'm
not answering it because you're doing this jump. That's not fair. I'm talking about this, and you're trying to be like, but what about this utopia? I told you earlier.
Because the answer is yes, right? The answer is yes.
Let me talk
Isn't
a little
the answer
bit.
actually? You didn't answer the question. Yes or no?
Are you gonna? This is like me asking you. Are you going to force everyone to believe in Christianity?
No.
No. Okay, then no.
Look, you remember how I just answered that yes or no question?
It's not realistic.
Wait,
it's not realistic.
No. I'm saying if it were the case.
You're trying to put me into this corner of like, well, what does this utopia look like? I already don't think that the utopia is possible.
I'm just asking if it were the case.
But it's not fair because we're trying to talk about reality right now. That's like in your perfect reality.
Do you know what a hypothetical is? A hypothetical is designed to test your logic.
Would you like there to be unicorns?
A hypothetical is designed to test your logic. And as long as it is the case that I ask you a hypothetically possible scenario, it just has to be logically possible, not physically possible, then
honestly,
for me,
I would leave it up to them.
You'd leave it up to them.
Totally.
Okay, so what if it's the case then that on that 200 square foot more, I was able to acquire more of a distribution of resources to myself? Should those be taken away and equally distributed?
I don't think that when you're talking about, okay, so where did they get those resources? From somebody else? Because again, this is going back to the nature of a system.
Yeah, I used the Apple.
We can't colonize anywhere else.
I'm going to explain. I'll explain it. I'll explain so that you have more information. So I went down the commie block and I got like their little cart of apples and shit for the day. Okay. And I ate the apple and there were seeds in it. And I took the 200 square foot extra that I had and I planted some of those apple seeds. And now there was an apple tree that's sitting out there. Okay.
Great.
Now that gives me a lot of power because now people can come to me for resources and I can like upcharge and stuff. Do you think that apple tree that you should be able to go in and take all the apples off and equally distribute them to the community?
No.
Okay, well then what you're saying then makes no sense because ultimately all that it would ever require is a single innovation for me to begin to gather more resources to myself than the community has, thus putting myself in a much better leveraging bargaining system for capitalism, baby. That's the only way it can be done.
Okay.
It's the only way it can be done.
It sounds like, again, you still don't have enough trust in people to have these fair decisions made amongst their own community members, and I do.
Yeah,
so really,
you
that
trust
seems to be like
18-year-olds to run your life? You trust 18-year-olds to vote on what's good for your future? Really? Okay, I don't.
Damn,
I don't.
bro,
I would raise the voting age. I'd raise the voting age to 20.
Yo, she didn't push back. That's crazy. Look at this.
You trust 18-year-olds to vote on what's good for your future? Really? Okay, I don't. I don't. I would raise the voting age. I'd raise the voting age to 25.
You are out here thinking that everyone else is or what did you say? Most people are dumb.
Do you trust 18-year-olds to vote? Really?
Do you think most people are dumb?
I think that most people at 18 are dumb.
Well, earlier you said you think most people are dumb.
I do think that generally speaking, that when you compare them to the average of the people who are on top when it comes to power distribution, yeah, they're dumb. Generally,
I would argue that the difference between them is actually kind of what Christian nationalists seem to care about most, which is morality.
No, that's not the distinction. There's people who are in government who are very moral. There's people who are in leadership positions who are very moral people. What do you mean? Yeah, that's like crazy. This. What do you mean that's crazy? Have you ever worked for a boss that has hundreds of employees, but he's a very decent person? Of course you have. So it's millions. So millions of other people.
No, that's not fair.
It is. It's
not the same.
Yes, it's a distribution of power.
As a multi-billionaire,
people who are in authority are generally smarter than the average person. Yes, it is true. I don't know why you don't like that fact, but the thing is, the reason that guy has 300 employees is because he's usually smarter than the 300 employees.
Yeah, most people are not dumb. I stand by that. Totally.
Really? So, like, do you think most people in Pakistan are dumb?
I don't think that most people are dumb. What is this?
Okay, see, this is disingenuous, man. We can go through this. We can just literally just go to Google, just go to IQ. And some of the cultures that a lot of these folks practice, you cannot get to a different conclusion. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. You cannot get to a different conclusion. Yeah, some of these people are they just live in the moment. I'm just going to leave it like that. Simply live in the moment. There's no thinking for the future. There's a lot of degeneracy. They cannot keep their street clean, their houses clean. And they have laws, but those laws are not enforced, which is weird too. It just you're making the argument towards Andrew Wilson's, the concept of force.
I asked you, do you think most people in Pakistan are dumb?
No.
Even though 70% of them are like inbred?
I think that what's interesting, and I'd be curious about why you think that there is a direct correlation between the lack of literacy and the lack of education in red states. I mean, if you really want to talk about education,
because that's where the most amount of.
I don't think it's because they're dumb. I don't think it's because they're dumb.
I'll tell you exactly why.
I think it's because that they are directly attacked. Their communities are directly attacked, and they are kept poor so that they are more easily manipulated.
Nope, that's not what happens. It's because it has the highest distribution of post-slavery. That's why. The red states that you're talking about, like Mississippi, have the highest concentration of black people in the entire world, and so do all of the red states that you point to that have the worst educational standards. Right, all of them you're going to find universally are around people who are post-Civil War slaves or ancestry with post-Civil War slaves. That's why it's not even hard. It's not even hard.
But you're missing the dominant force in those red states, which is mainly white Protestants. So that argument, I don't think really stands up, especially because if you're doing these universal blanket statements,
white Protestants aren't stopping them from doing anything. They're not stopping them from doing fucking anything. Nothing now. Nothing. There's no barriers.
They're the largest voting bloc.
Yeah. What? What are?
The in red states, the largest voting bloc are white Protestants.
Yeah, but that has no bearing on what we're talking
I
about.
don't know
Nobody's stopping minorities from having having good.
So shame on you for participating in a democratic process, I guess. Like, I mean, shame, guilt. The sign language is big. Sign language, I think, it was the biggest shit test in the last 70 years, and men just went with it. They just simply went with it. Like, what are you supposed to do? Not to vote? Like, again, I do think a lot of these leftists, they have a low, like a soft spot for white supremacy, guys.
I didn't bring up minorities.
But that is the case. All of those states that you're talking about have the largest distribution.
Easy. It's okay.
Okay, they have the largest distribution
but the
of minorities.
The largest voting bloc is still white Protestants who are also undereducated and low literacy. I know that you're trying to redirect it.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Look, the white Protestants in those same states, you're going to find are on par with the averages for the rest of the country. They're on par with the highest educational averages with the rest of the. Yes, it is always the case. You can go through and do the distribution by distribution. What do you think? The entire ideology of intersectionality was designed specifically to study that problem. Because it was intersectional, right? They didn't understand why is it that black kids can't perform like white kids do. They didn't understand why. The entire point of intersectionality was they didn't understand why that was going on. It's not even up for debate. It is in fact the case. And it's not racist to say, it's just a fact. That's what's going on in reality.
That's not the origin of intersectionality, but I understand where you're going with it.
It is the origin of intersectionality.
The origin of intersectionality was a sociologist, which I know you don't take sociology seriously.
What? He was trying to study what?
He was understanding that the civil rights movement wasn't serving women and the white suffragist movement wasn't serving black people.
Oh, no.
So
That's not how intersectionality was popularized. You're going back to
you don't take sociology seriously. So
I don't.
This is kind of hard. So why are we?
No,
yeah, this is probably not. We can't even go anywhere.
But I do take numbers seriously. So the thing is like I can still take test scores seriously.
The basis of sociology, but
no. That's the basis of scientific and mathematical formulas. Sociology is designed to interpret that data. That's what they're doing. They're trying to interpret the human element. That's the sociological element, not the scientific element of just crunching the numbers, lady.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here. I mean, like, me trying to debate whether or not sociology and psychology are pseudoscience according to your interpretation is going to be the same thing as
they're at least soft sciences, right?
Doing the whole thing about Christian beliefs just being mythology fairy tales.
No, it's not even close.
They're both the basis of all of our arguments, and so I'm not going to sit here and like do that back and forth.
But it is you do agree it's a soft science at least, right? Soft science, emphasis on the S.
Emphasis on the social.
Soft?
They're social sciences.
But you do agree they're soft sciences.
They're
not
social
hard
sciences.
They're not hard science. We can at least agree they're not hard sciences.
She's reading, bro. She's reading. People are throwing. You know what? When it comes down to a lot of these debates, I truly believe that some of these people have discords, and you see the discord, the chat telling her what to say or what to say. I'm not saying that that's what is going on, but I get this kind of feeling that that's what happens sometimes. They look into the corner to see what they're telling her, not telling her some sign like social science, because probably the chat is telling her. And I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I just get that feeling.
Science relies on the scientific method, which is used in psychology and sociology. I'm not doing this.
I just have one last question for you, and then we can wrap it.
Is it one last question, really?
Just one last one. Can you tell me what the scientific method is? Off the top of your head?
Like
honestly.
The steps?
Yeah.
Sure, it's a little bit different depending on where you're looking, but it's what? Hypothesis.
Nope, you already failed.
All right, Andrew, then I'm sure it's probably because you're a scientist. So, okay, we're done.
I think engineers are scientists. A lot more scientific than sociologists, but okay.
Totally.
Yeah. I built robots. Have you ever built a robot?
That's very good.
Yeah, it is good.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I built robots. Have you ever built a robot? Can you tell me what a solenoid is, science lady? Just tell me what a solenoid is. That's it.
Word.
Just a solenoid.
Big word.
You don't know,
do you? It's a big word.
Do you know what a solenoid is?
No, I'm so impressed.
We're going to jump into the Q&A. Couple of
That's
quick.
it, guys. They're gonna jump to the Q&A. If you want to watch the Q&A, you can go to their channel. Interesting debate. I love when Andrew Wilson goes against a lot of these feminists. We have a feminist problem. We have to undo so much. It's not even close. It's not even close. This is gonna take at least, I would say, another 10 years easily. And things are gonna happen. Things are gonna happen. A lot of the stuff that people thought was never gonna happen, like the overturn of Roe v. Wade. People talking about real questions about the 19th Amendment, and clearly the female purview in political positions, meaning how females really see politics, and how do they just govern based on those realities. And it's very dangerous. Seems like females clearly don't have a understanding of why we build these system. And I do think it's because they don't have a concept of danger, right? Very interesting debate. Hopefully, you guys can just leave your comment and your opinion in the comment section below. With that, I will see you in the next one.